very skin of the earth, holding its secrets for over 2,000 years. In a world bleached by a relentless sun, where rain is more memory than reality, lies one of humanity's greatest and most beautiful enigmas. In the barren, windswept desert plains of southern Peru, we find them. Giant figures of animals, intricate geometric patterns, and lines stretching arrow-straight for miles, etched into the ground with a stunning, almost impossible precision. A hummingbird, its delicate wings forever frozen in mid-beat, spanning the length of a football field. A spider, depicted with such perfect biological detail that scientists can identify its species, a creature rarely seen in these arid lands. A monkey with a curious, spiraling tail, its form playful and profound. These are the Nazca Lines. They are so enormous, so sprawling, that the people who made them could never have seen them in their entirety from the ground. For centuries, they lay hidden in plain sight, a secret language written upon the desert floor, a message waiting for a time when humanity would finally take to the skies. Who were the ancient people who orchestrated this monumental work of art? How did they achieve such scale and precision without a view from above, without the tools of the modern world? And the question that echoes through the ages, why? Why dedicate generations of effort to creating images only gods or birds could fully appreciate? Were they messages to celestial beings? A giant astronomical calendar tracking the sun and stars? Or were they sacred pathways, a desperate, ritualistic plea for water in one of the driest places on Earth? Today, on Adventure Hidden, we journey to the heart of this ancient mystery. We will explore the ingenuity of the Nazca people, walk the paths of the scientists who dedicated their lives to understanding them, and uncover the leading theories behind the drawings that were made for the eyes of the gods. This is the story of the Nazca Lines. Chapter 1. A discovery from the air or modern understanding of the Nazca Lines begins not on the ground, but in the sky. For centuries, local Peruvians knew of the strange paths that crisscrossed their ancestral lands. They saw them as ancient, sacred trails, remnants of Inca roads. But their true form, their magnificent hidden artistry, remained a secret locked away by perspective. It wasn't until the 1920s and 30s, with the advent of commercial and military aviation in Peru, that the secret began to unravel. Pilots flying over the desolate plains between the Andes and the coast began to report something extraordinary. Through their cockpit windows, they saw what no one on the ground could: strange giant figures and impossibly straight lines carved into the desert below, a hidden world revealing itself only to those who ascended. The first person to truly study them systematically was a Peruvian archaeologist, Toribio Mejia Chespe. In 1927, while hiking through the surrounding foothills, he stumbled upon the strange furrows and immediately recognized their human-made origin. He began the first academic investigation, but the world was not yet ready to listen. Global attention was finally captured by an American historian, Paul Kosok, who came to Peru to study ancient irrigation systems. In 1941, frustrated by his limited ground-level view, he chartered a small, rattling plane to get a better perspective. What he saw left him breathless. Below him was not a collection of roads, but a coherent, massive work of art. He famously called it the largest astronomy book in the world. His theory was solidified by a moment of pure serendipity. On June 22nd, the day of the winter solstice in the southern hemisphere, he stood on the ground at the end of one of the long straight lines. As the sun began to dip below the horizon, he watched in astonishment as it set in perfect, deliberate alignment with the path laid out before him. It was a moment of profound revelation. This discovery ignited a lifelong passion for one of Kosok's assistants, a young German mathematician and translator named Maria Reike. She would become the soul of Nazca, the Lady of the Lines. When Kosok left, she stayed. For over 50 years, she made the desert her home, dedicating her life to mapping, cleaning, and protecting these fragile etchings. Armed with little more than a broom, a ladder, a measuring tape, and an unshakable belief that she was preserving a masterpiece, she single-handedly protected the lines from erosion and human interference. She lived in a small hut, with no running, water, using her own meager funds to hire guards, becoming the fierce guardian of this silent, sprawling wonder. Chapter 2. The Nazca People. Life in a barren world. To understand the why, we must first understand the who. The Nazca Lines were created by the Nazca culture, a civilization that flourished in this region from around 100 BC to 800 AD, hundreds of years before the rise of the famous Inca Empire. They were not a people of grand stone cities like Machu Picchu. They were a society of agricultural villages, a confederation of chiefdoms who were absolute masters of survival in one of the most arid environments on the planet. Here, water was not just a resource. It was a deity, the source of all life, and its absence was a constant threat. To defy the desert, they engineered a brilliant system of underground aqueducts known as puquios. These were subterranean canals, sometimes reinforced with stone, that tapped into groundwater deep beneath the earth and carried it for miles to their fields. This incredible feat of hydraulic engineering, built without metal tools, is so well designed that many of the puquios are still in use today by local farmers. The Nazca were also extraordinary artists. Their pottery is some of the most beautiful of the ancient world, decorated with a stunning array of up to 15 distinct vibrant colors on a single vessel. On these ceramics, we see their world come to life. They painted complex mythological scenes, powerful godlike figures, and the very same animals we see drawn in the desert: the hummingbird, the monkey, the killer whale, the spider. These recurring images tell us something vital. The figures in the desert were not random doodles. They were deeply embedded in the spiritual and cultural cosmos of the Nazca people. They were drawing what was most important to them, the symbols that connected them to their gods, their ancestors, and the forces of nature they revered and perhaps deeply feared. Chapter 3. How they did it, a feat of human ingenuity. How did a civilization without modern technology, without flight, create such enormous and mathematically precise figures? For decades, this question fueled wild speculation, but the answer, discovered through careful experimentation, is a testament not to alien visitors, but to the simple brilliance of human ingenuity. The Nazca Desert is not sand like the Sahara. It is a stable, flat plain covered with a layer of reddish-brown, iron oxide-coated pebbles. This dark layer, baked by the sun for millennia, sits atop a much lighter, yellowish-gray soil. The method was breathtakingly simple. To create a line, the Nazca people simply had to remove the top layer of dark rocks, exposing the lighter ground beneath. This created a stunning, durable contrast that is highly visible from a distance and, of course, from above. The region's unique climate, incredibly dry, with minimal wind and rain, then preserved these lines almost perfectly for 2,000 years. A single footprint left today could last for decades. But how did they draw the complex curves of a monkey's tail or the perfect wings of a condor? Researchers believe the process was one of meticulous planning and community effort. They would first create small-scale models or plans, perhaps on a smaller patch of ground or on their famous ceramics. Then, they would scale up the design using simple but effective surveying tools, wooden stakes and long lengths of rope. By placing stakes at key points of the drawing and using ropes to create straight lines and perfect measured arcs, a small team of coordinators could lay out the giant figures piece by piece. Then, a larger workforce, a whole community, would follow the plan, clearing the rocks to reveal the image. It was a monumental act of cooperation, a project that required careful planning, a shared architectural vision, and a powerful, unified belief in the importance of their work. Chapter 4. The Great Debate. Theories of the Lines. This brings us to the ultimate question, the mystery that has puzzled researchers for a century. Why did the Nazca invest generations of time and effort into creating these giant drawings? There, is no single answer written in stone, but several compelling theories, each of which adds a layer to our understanding. Theory 1. The astronomical calendar. This was the theory championed by Maria Ricci. She dedicated her life to proving that the lines were a massive astronomical observatory. She believed the lines were designed to align with the solstices and equinoxes, and, more importantly, with the rising and setting of significant stars and constellations. For an agricultural society, knowing the exact time to plant and harvest was a matter of life and death. The sky was their clock, and the desert was its face. The spider figure, for instance, has been theorized to represent the constellation Orion, whose appearance in the sky signaled the coming of the rainy season in the mountains, the source of their water. Theory 2. A sacred call for water. More recent theories connect the lines directly to the Nazca's most vital need, water. Archaeologists like Johann Reinhardt have shown that many of the lines and animal figures are located near or point directly towards water sources, including the entrances to the underground pukios. In this view, the lines weren't for looking at the sky, but for calling down its blessings. The figures were symbols for the gods who controlled the weather and water. The hummingbird, a creature of vibrant life, or the spider, often associated with rain, were powerful icons. The lines were not just images, but sacred ceremonial pathways. The Nazca would walk these paths in procession, performing rituals to summon rain and ensure fertility for their crops. They were an active prayer, not a passive chart. Theory 3. Clan symbols and sacred spaces. Another compelling idea suggests the animal figures could be emblems or totems, representing different Nazca clans or families, marking their territory in a spiritual sense. The massive geometric shapes, like the enormous trapezoids that dominate the landscape, might not have been drawings at all, but vast cleared ceremonial spaces. Here, entire communities could gather for important social or religious events, their collective energy focused on the sacred ground. The truth is likely a rich tapestry woven from all these threads. They could have been an astronomical guide, a ritualistic map, and a ceremonial space all at once, their purpose shifting and evolving over the hundreds of years they were created and maintained. They are a reflection of a complex society's deeply interwoven relationship with the sky, the earth, and the sacred. Chapter 5. A Fragile Legacy. Today, the Nazca Lines are a UNESCO World Heritage Site, a treasure belonging to all of humanity. But they are incredibly fragile. Their miraculous preservation is due to the delicate balance of the desert climate. A single footprint can damage this balance, leaving a scar that can last for centuries. They face modern threats their creators could never have imagined. Climate change brings unpredictable weather and erosion. Unintentional human damage is a constant concern. In 2014, an activist group damaged the ground near the hummingbird, leaving deep footprints that marred the site. In 2018, a truck driver, ignoring warning signs, plowed his vehicle across a large section of the plain, causing irreparable harm to several lines. These events are heartbreaking reminders of the urgent need for their protection. The work that Maria Ricci started with her simple broom continues today, with scientists, conservators, and the Peruvian government working tirelessly to study, preserve, and protect this silent, sprawling masterpiece for future generations. We are now the guardians of this ancient wonder. Outro the Nazca Lines remain a profound and beautiful mystery. They are a quiet, powerful testament to what humans are capable of when driven by a shared belief. The Nazca people did not build great pyramids or towering stone temples to be seen by their neighbors. Instead, they whispered their stories onto the land itself, creating an offering meant for a much larger audience. They remind us that some of history's greatest adventures are not stories of conquest or power, but of art, spirit, and a deep connection to the world around us. They prove that human ingenuity is not limited to what we can build up, but also what we can respectfully carve into the earth. And they teach us that there are still grand secrets hidden in the open, wonders waiting to be understood, and that, sometimes, to see the bigger picture, you just need a different perspective. This is Adventure Hidden, where we uncover the stories that echo through time. If you believe in the power of wonder and the importance of preserving our shared history, subscribe and join us on our next journey. The greatest adventures are the ones that challenge us to look deeper,